So the question is, can the way work is organized and rewarded limit the effect of stigma or dirtiness associated with the work? Okay, first of all, what is dirty work? Dirty work is something referred as a distasteful, dangerous, and demanding job. And according to Hughes 1951, dirty work is something that invoke the term dirty work to refer to tasks and occupation. They are likely to be perceived as disgusting or degrading. And there are two types of dirty work. The first of all is the high prestige and second is the low prestige. So, for example, the prestige is refers to a status, social status, and a high for example of high prestige is a doctor, and low prestige is for example like a cleaner. Okay, there's a two type of dirty work. Although the nature of a work of this two type person is same, the nature of the work of this high prestige and low prestige is a dirty work, but high prestige is a well organized and well rewarded. For example, like doctor. When we look at a doctor, when the society see a doctor in a like more appreciated way, and their work and the environment they work in is more organized, and people appreciate their works and they will be rewarded for what they are doing. But instead, for low prestige, their organized is not organized and not rewarded. For example, a rubbish collector. So almost in all of the country, for the rubbish collector, there's no appropriate uniform for them, or they have no any safety equipment for them to do that kind of job. And most of the time the society didn't appreciate what they are doing, so the low prestige work is more to not organized. Okay, defining dirty work. According to his 1951, work could be done in several ways, such as physical, social, and moral. There are different types of dirty work, from garbage collector to doctors. Physical pain is something that does not necessarily come from the workers getting physical dirt on themselves. For example, the stain of slaughterhouse worker, but from the merely associated with the physical dirt, as if dirt were contagious. For example, the maid's clothes are rarely washed with those of the other people in the house, and in some family, maids are not even allowed to wash their clothes in the washing machine. And the second one is a moral thing. Moral thing is more to associate with sinful or dubious virtues, for example, like exotic dances and prostitutions. And another type is utilize a practice that are deceptive. So, according to Green 1999, like private investigator and telemarketer. And the third is a social chain, involve regular contact with the people or group that are themselves regarded as stigma. For example, AIDS workers and prison guard, or with several relationship with others. For example, customer complaints club. For my personal experience, there's one of my relative is a domestic workers. She tend to go to the house and clean, and this type of dirty work is associated with a physical dirt. And how she have associated with the stigma is, people tend to ask her, how can you do all this kind of job, and people not appreciating what she's doing, or she not so well rewarded. Next, I pass to Wani.
So what it really mean by the word of stigma? Sociologist Irving Goffman 1963 indicates that stigma as a social attribute that is discrediting for an individual or group. Nowadays, stigma is described as a social disapproval due to individual characteristics that against norms in terms of economic, political, cultural, or social. Goffman 1963 mentioned that stigma also affect those who are closely associated with them, for example, family and friends. Thus, stigma that being attached to people that doing dirty work directly affects their mental illness in terms of achieving life goals. In addition, the internalized stigma affects the individual's self-perception and can potentially impact success or failure in life opportunities. For example, mining industry. People that work in mining industry have to deal with social interaction, including their family, friends, and general public. The problem that they're facing are people always look down on what they were doing and claim that people that work as a mine is underprivileged. Ling and Phelan 2001 have described 5 components of stigma. Labeling defined as the recognition of difference and the assignment of social salience to those differences. For example, people that having such disabilities are differ from the social context. Next, stereotyping is a negative attribute to socially salient differences. For the separation is occur when the reaction of others to this difference lead to pronounced sense of otherness. Status loss and discrimination occur when stigma interferes with individuals' ability to participate fully in the social and economic life of his or her community. Next, Thompson et al. 2003 have come up with defensive tactics. Defensive tactics defined as the more or less reactive means of coping with the negative impact of stigma with the aspects of the work that foster the stigma. There is 4 defensive tactics such as condemning condemners. The stigma is by condemning their condemners. For example, workers that working in physically and socially stigmatized occupation often face greater threat and they actively against their existence. Next is blaming and or distancing from clients. So it is a socially stigmatized occupation because clients are implicated in the stigma. Next is social comparison by Lemon 2000. This defensive tactics refers to comparing oneself or one's occupation to other actors who are thought to be worse off as a means of drawing esteem enhancing inferences. Lastly is the organizational level defense by Jasper and Elkin 1992. The more a given stigmatized occupation defines the organizational as a whole, and the more likely the organizational itself will embrace defensive tactics. Now I will share to you my personal experience. Based on my past experience, I working as a kitchen helper in a restaurant. I associated with physically dirty work that is considered as the low prestige job. This is related to dirty work because I involved in dirty environment which I clean the dishes, the kitchen floors and the kitchen equipment. And that every 2 weeks I have to clean the G-strap which is in a dirty condition. People stigmatize on what I'm doing because they saw me as an unskilled worker. Next, I will pass up to the third presenter.
For dignity in work and dignity at work. According to Bolton 2006, dignity in work refers to job satisfaction, meaningful work respect, and learning development work. Other than that, dignity at work refers to well-being, just reward, voice, security, and equal opportunities. Workers reinterpret their perceived identity, perceiving it's a meaningful work that is dignified and valuable to the organization, and reaffirming their sense of self-esteem. And dignity at work also be stigmatized for society. For example, mine workers in Akron 2007 study identified coal dust as the sign of virtuous, hardworking member of the community. Next, how the work is rewarded. Divided into 3 main sources that are particle autonomy and skill building and doing dirty work. First, particle autonomy is, according to Diamond 1992, particle autonomy is free to work according to their own standard without working under bureaucratic management that encourage speed up of service. And it's also prove a sense of ownership over and over the standard of care and by extension a sense of dignity for the work. Second is skill building. Skill building is aids view caregiving as a way to build job skills, thereby crafting a sense of dignity within the confines of a job often seen by outsiders as unskilled and people. Dirty work is unique to the caregiving relationship, is rational and it is nature. My personal experience as working as a social worker, which involved elderly, injury and disabled people and poor people. What do my team do with them? We help them to clean their home and the surrounding place and clean themselves. We also provide some food, water to drink and clothing. And this is also related to dirty work because the people are messed with dirty environment and unpleasant smell. However, I don't think and see that is dirty. That as I am happy and proud of myself to do these things. As well, my friends also think same. We have a strong group culture and everyone in group is supportive. According to Akron and Crowley 1990, the strong group culture is important to the dirty workers. And moreover, our group effort to limit the stigma by looking at only the positive that comes out from his work and dignity at the work by Bolton 2006.
Next, I will discuss about occupational ideologies, which is this system of belief that provides a means for interpreting and understanding what the occupation does and why it matters. Occupational ideologies is where is a perform dirty work because have a limited job options, which is this ideology can change the negative meaning assigned to the stigmatized work, primarily be attempting to extinguish negative attribution while simultaneously creating positive one. It practice social weighting, what dirty workers deploy to moderate the social perception of dirtiness. Here there are three ideologies which is provided by Ashford and Craner, which is this ideology is transform the negative attribution and create positive in terms of physically, morally and socially taint. There are three ideologies, which first is reframing. This technique involves transforming the meaning attached to a stigmatized occupation. In reframing, there are two: infusing, which is a stigma is imbued with positive value, or transforming it into a badge of honor. And the second is a neutralizing, which is a negative value of the stigma is negated. For example, there are supermarket meat cutter. They take a pride in their dexterity with a knife and their ability to tolerate in the cold room. Second is a recalibrating, which is the technique involved to adjust the implicit standard that are involved to assess how much or how good of dirty work attribute. Dirty work that increasing the importance of something others see as small. Example, where the dog catcher take a job that would appear to outsider to be a universal dirty and wear them in the hierarchy of value, implied that give more value to other duties stigmatized as preventing bites and rabies. Third is a refocusing, which is involve shift the stigmatized feature of the work to non-stigmatized feature, or involve a refocus on features that are extrinsic to the work itself. They are focused on the good pay, benefits and flexible hours that are desirable. Example, exotic dancer may overlook the indecent aspect of their job and focus on their ability to work on a flexible schedule. But the most useful is a reframing because this technique is successful and the greatest potential in combating the negative stereotype of dirty work.
This is my personal experience at petrol station as a pump attendant. It relates to physical thing. Frequently, I get a dirty as they pump gasoline and work around oil and grease. This is related to dirty work because people are give a dirty looks when they see to me and talk to me when they need my help to filling up the gas and wash their car windows. Basically, when people who work as a pump attendants, society is looking them like they are not have a education, but sometimes people who is pump attendant want to gain an experience, so educational approach to my job, so I can be educated and I have experience to communicate or tolerate with customer.
In conclusion of our presentation, which is 10 associate with physically, socially and morally dirty occupation leads to experience much in common. Dirty work is not monolithic. Dirty work can be rewarded and organized, although it something associated with dirtiness, but it can view in another perspective, such as doing job as a nurse, which is it can be viewed as a love compassion rather than dirtiness to take off their patient.
Question 1. Which type of dirt or stigma are evident in your experience? According to my self-experience, working as a social worker, physically and socially pain may involve. However, it is my responsibility as a social worker to help poor, elderly and disabled people in need, and the reason why I interested for this job is to help them and community. I have walked into their situations such as bath full of dirty napkins, fridge door and hanging off. Basically, social workers, there is dirtiness. We have to go to help the public. I know what and how the condition of it will be. Therefore, I am well trained and prepared for whether I will go through, although people may look at it as the dirty work.
The question 1, as a kitchen helper is a physically dirty work which is a low prestige job. I don't think that this kind of job deserves to be stigmatized by society because through these jobs I managed to gain a lot of experience and knowledge.
Okay, question 2. Can organization make a difference to wider views of stigma or only to perception held by individuals close to or doing the work? Yes, organization able to make difference in wider view by appreciating the work done by dirty workers. For example, like cleaner and rubbish collector. Their work is associated with a physical pain, but yet they are providing a clean and comfortable environment for the society. Without these dirty workers, we could end up living in the uncomfortable environment.
Based on question 2, each CIM organization can only eliminate stigma and pain within the occupation or work itself, but when it comes to the wider perception, it can be neutralized. For example, in the chicken factory, the strong culture within the workers and different technique tends to limit effect, but from a wider view, it was still be seen a dirty work. Even by working at the administration, this can only be changed by experiencing to the work itself. That's all for our presentation. Thank you.